Jason William Lee on Amazon Co. UK. Hope you enjoy it. Chapter 69 Reunion. It was about this time that Charlie and his mum were pulling into the estate. It had been a long, slow drive, but they had made it by listening to the soothing sounds on the radio. Many a time Charlie had looked at his mum, nodding off, and only to be brought back to life by the blast of a brass band. It was a great relief to Charlie, who was struggling to stay awake himself. They saw a familiar figure walking through the estate. "That looks like Tinker," his mum said, but he looked different to Charlie. He wasn't walking tall like he usually did. He was stooping like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. Charlie was amazed. He was someone that he always looked up to, but now he looked like a broken old man. They stopped the car outside their house, and Tinker was leaning against a lamppost as if it was holding him up. He looked as deflated as an old balloon. It was strange seeing him looking so glum, thought Charlie, as he was usually so full of life like a spark plug. Even Mary looked concerned, and she invited him in. He sat in the armchair looking as if he was going to fall asleep. "You look like you've been in a boxing match," Mary said, as she surveyed his sprawling frame. She was joking, but she didn't know how close to the truth she was. Tinker hadn't eaten all day, and when he tucked into the lovely hot steak pie, he could feel his strength and his brief happiness returning. His body still ached all over, but the soothing warm pie made him feel better. There was little conversation at the table. They were all tired, but Tinker was unusually chatty all of the time, and Charlie had to cover up the long silences with amusing stories of their adventures in Blackpool. "I love to go there," said Tinker with enthusiasm, but deep down, said Charlie, he knew that his dad would never allow it. He had too many jobs for him to do, and as Charlie's mum began to clear the plates, Tinker gave Charlie a look as they headed for the bedroom. Charlie could tell that he wanted to speak to him. Chapter 70 Secrets. Tinker wasn't one for crying, but he couldn't stop the tears falling from his eyes. It was like a dam had burst. "Hello, viewers." Charlie was shocked and a little embarrassed that he'd never noticed anything. Tinker told him everything. His dad's drinking, why his mum left, the threats and violence. Charlie gasped as Tinker rolled up his sleeves to reveal his bruised arms. "I'm like that all over," he said, with a look of pure sadness in his eyes. "Hello, viewers, please sub me if you like it." Charlie felt like crying himself. "You can't tell anyone," he said with a quivering voice. "My dad will kill me if he finds out," and he wasn't far off the mark. "Did your dad really do that?" said Charlie, amazed and puzzled. "But your dad's nice," he said naively. "He goes to church and everybody likes him." "I don't like him," said Tinker, rubbing the bruises on his arm as if to make them disappear. "And neither did my mum," he said with anguish in his voice. "But we have to tell Mum," said Charlie. "She can help you," he said with the concern of a child. Tinker stopped him dead. "No one can help me," he said, looking down at the floor despondent. Charlie began to daydream, and for a few seconds he lost track of where he was and who he was. He was back as Spider-Man. He imagined himself frog marching Tinker's dad out of the house, and he looked at him open-mouthed and bundled him up like rubbish into the back of a waiting police car. Once again Spider-Man saved the day, and no one could hurt Tinker again, he thought. "Earth calling Charlie," Tinker said exasperatedly, and Charlie slowly came back to Earth, and he tried to hide his disappointment. "I don't want to go home, Tinker. I know that my dad will be drunk. He won't notice that I'm not there," he said. "I'll ask Mum," said Charlie. "There is a spare bedroom, and I'm sure it will be okay." Tinker had never known such peace and quiet, and he slept like a baby on feathers. Chapter 71 Gold by Jason William Lee. The next morning he woke up refreshed but worried. How could his dad react to him staying out all night? Who would cook his tea, he pondered. He needn't have worried, as his dad hadn't arrived home either. He was laying in a bed of booze and blood in a dark alleyway like a lost tramp. "Hello, viewers." He had gone out determined to have a good time, and after a few drinks he was feeling confident. He thought that he looked good, and from the looks of the women, he was sure of it. He was wearing his best suit, but what he didn't realize was that it was fading and smelling of decay. Please sub me, viewers. The good old days were over, but he couldn't see it, not yet, anyway. With each glass he could feel his confidence rising, but it was misplaced. Everyone was wary of him. He was becoming too touchy, and that could only lead to more trouble. He followed a blonde out of the club, but unfortunately for him, she was taken. A tall man came out of the shadows, smelling of success and money. All he saw was a huge fist coming towards him, and that was the last thing he remembered until he woke up bloody and cold in a greasy puddle. He made his way back home looking like a disgruntled tramp, and everyone who walked past him avoided his gaze. They could see the darkness within him. 16, 15, he finally got home, and he struggled to get the key into the lock. He eventually succeeded and collapsed into the armchair like a dying man. A small cigarette hung from his filthy fingers, and it wept its ash onto the already soiled carpet. Hello, viewers, please sub me. 99